When you hear the word IIT Delhi or IIM Ahmedabad, an image of a successful professional will appear in your mind. I too had a glimpse of this corporate bright dream, which vanished in a blink of an eye. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kalpen Shukla. I am President of IIT Delhi Alumni Association, representing 65,000 IITD alumni across the globe. I call myself a Sarpanch of a large village where every single resident has qualified from IIT Delhi. Today, I feel very proud and privileged standing in front of you. Mahatma Gandhi has been my lifetime eternal hero, and I have this opportunity to deliver this talk at Mahatma Gandhi Mission University. Let me ask a few curiosity questions to the audience. How many of you are born in a small village of less than 500 families or herd? Very few. How many of you have cleared 12th standard exam before the age of 15? 1-5, from everyone to none. How many of you enjoy reading grammar or playing juggling with numbers while driving? Very weird. How many of you from any of the older IITs or IIMs? Let me first reiterate. Being or joining IITs or IIMs is not the... However, IITs and IIMs, they do have a phenomenal success rate historically. And if you add a few other challenging conditions, it definitely makes it a very interesting combination, probably an undefeatable one. Let me introduce you a village born, a vernacular educated, someone who cleared his SSC 11th standard exam before the age of 14, someone who enjoyed reading concise Oxford Dictionary and Run and Martin grammar in his spare time, and someone who walked into the hallowed portals of IIT Delhi and IIM Ahmedabad without any coaching or without spending any money. The hard work, the intelligence, the passion, the commitment, everything put together ensured a reasonably successful career where one would enjoy all conventional entitlements, expectations of self, of the family members, friends, of the society in general. With this wonderful, powerful armory, it was expected that one would enjoy universal adulation and also be pampered in any social gatherings. After graduating from IIT Delhi in 1984, same year I joined IIM Ahmedabad, getting two powerful degrees from two institutes of eminence. Those days, this was indeed an achievement which was afforded to less than 40-50 students in a year in a country of 1 billion plus. Obviously, I felt on top of the world, and it was a life that students and common people in this country aspire for. I was very keen and aspiring to go up in the corporate ladder, where name at the bottom of the page should move the organization. I felt on top of the world, where idea was to gain experience, idea was to rise faster, and similarly the experience was also gained from names like Cartridge and Boyce, Johnson & Johnson, Unilever, British Gas, each one having a premier position in its own way. Life was coasting, going very smooth, expectations were sky high, and therefore the fire inside was burning bright and quite flamboyantly so. However, the life doesn't move in a linear trajectory. It unfortunately does not honor any relationship between inputs and outputs. Probably it works in a very complicated barter system. If it gives you something, it takes away something else. On one hand, it offered me all wonderful, powerful implements in life. It took away the most critical part of life, supporting system, the health and physical well-being. Orphan disease, as the world likes to term this group as, I suffered from Job syndrome, a primary immunodeficiency disorder for a good part of my life, called Buckley syndrome also, called hyperimmunoglobulin E syndrome also. Less than 300 cases are medically reported in last 60 years, 60, globally. Job syndrome creates a basic gap, critical gap in the adaptive immune system of the individual. And therefore, body doesn't learn how to fight infections. And therefore, it keeps fighting infections every time as if it's a new infection. Incidentally, Job is a character in Hebrew Bible. Job was a righteous man, had enjoyed all kinds of wealth and possessions, and therefore Satan told God that Job is a righteous man because you have bestowed him with all goodies. And therefore, as a part of his challenge with God, Satan decides to take everything away. And therefore, after taking away all, he puts miserable conditions on Job by infecting him with sores from top to bottom. Nevertheless, Job still remains honest, righteous, and his belief in God sustains. And very nicely, he summarizes it, saying it, God had given everything, and God has taken away this. I wish every Job's patient would be able to say this without making a complaint about his own life. Now, if you are not a medical practitioner, you probably wouldn't have heard of any of these terms. It just doesn't affect your body. It affects your self-esteem. With a bright red face, skin fragments sticking out, most people who would interact would be actually scared. They would be scared of shaking hands, and many of them would outright refuse to shake hands. This was just a visible part of the problem. Actually, the entire body remained and vulnerable. Skin is your first layer of protection. The conditions in which the skin remained, along with 2 rigorous baths every day with hot water, it actually removed any possibility of generating healthy skin on the body. And therefore, it remained permanently vulnerable. There was not a moment of respite, relief, or comfort during the day. Nights were even worse because the cloths will stick to the skin, and every day morning, peeling it off would be an excruciating ordeal. I couldn't control my health, very obviously, couldn't control the destiny also. But I could control one thing, whether to allow the fire inside me to die or to keep it alive, one ember at a time. I was admitted to the hospital in August 1997 with a 37 kg weight for a 5 feet 8 inch frame, which would make me look like a severely famished person. In fact, by then, the entire left lung had decided to vanish from the X-ray, leaving just a big blob. There was no way any medicine could be identified to take care of it. Even if I took a simple paracetamol to contain the high fevers going above 104, 105 degrees centigrade in 1 hour, the entire body would shiver for 40, 50 minutes. And therefore, there was no line of treatment possible. And the doctors didn't know whether I'm going to walk out on my own 2 feet or whether a few persons would carry me on their shoulders. However, I must admit, the wildfire that once was there had actually started dying down. It was blown away. But as they say, those who survive such ordeals, there's a fire burning brighter inside than fire around them. The glimmer of hope refused to die down. Along with this undiagnosed Job, because Job got diagnosed very late in life, I also showed classical symptoms of COX. COX, in simpler terms, is tuberculosis. So having shown the symptoms of reducing weight, evening fevers, lung infection, all classical symptoms, the doctors decided to put me on a severe treatment including very harsh antibiotics, along with COX treatment. So whatever residual immunity that existed in the body, that also got wiped away. Fortunately, along with the infection in the lung. Unfortunately, we are fighting in the dark with an invisible, unknown enemy, with our hands tied behind the back. And much worse, we didn't have any weapons. When you know that your body can fail at any point of time, you stop chasing wildfires. You try to protect something way smaller. The mind is busy retaining the embers that keep the hope and dream of a normal life alive. Embers symbolize endurance and tenacity, serving as testament to the power of persistence, resilience, and never say die attitude. Resilient individuals have a few characteristics in common, and that give them the hope of survival within any ordeal or trying circumstances. And that includes self-esteem, embracing the change, optimism, and accepting failure as a signal from life, a lesson from life. And I was blessed with a very high level of self-esteem given my background. This high sense of self-worth comes self-esteem propelled me to do everything in a best possible manner, in a highly competitive manner, on anything that I took in my hands. And unfortunately, it also established an unwanted, undesirable rush of adrenaline. This setback came as a very timely reminder to slow down. In fact, to accept a grinding halt in life. For a long time, these bodily issues bothered that there was an intelligent mind trapped inside a disobedient body. It looked like a failure, but it wasn't. It was a point of inflection that changed the direction of thought and also life, and positively so. The endless possibilities that opened subsequently are nothing short of a miracle. A quick acceptance of the unwanted companion jobs allowed me to be more compassionate than more accommodative and less aggressive, more empathetic and less entitled. Life started rolling back, although on a very different platform, more of a social and volunteering platform, which was radically different from my earlier avatar. However, today it looks far more rewarding and fulfilling to work for the communities. The rewards are more in terms of working with strangers, solving their problems, and bringing out smiles on their faces. So these embers have turned into a fire that is glowing bright and spreading light. A reclusive person has started interacting with hundreds, having associations with many, and it is interacting with young, intelligent, competent minds on both the campuses, not just with inspiration, but at times with awe. And it is with a sense of pride and jubilation I say that I had the honor and privilege of heading two most powerful alumni associations, IIT Delhi Alumni Association and IIM Ahmedabad Alumni Association in Mumbai, almost for a decade. A non-parallel feat in itself. It's also an opportunity to interact with hundreds of intelligent, competent, aspiring minds on both these campuses, wherein I can make an humble effort to keep their embers burning and glowing. On a different note, the survival story itself has become a source of inspiration for many on both the campuses. As the glowing fragments of a fire that refused to get extinguished, embers embody the enduring power of the spirit and a quiet testament and to the ability and resilience of the individuals who survived. I too survived, but more importantly, I thrived. It's a blissful journey from trauma to triumph. I often say, I survived all these crises because of God. But my definition of God is different. G stands for Gira, my better half, who's sitting in this audience. O stands for optimism of others, family and friends. And D, undeniably, the doctors. These are the people who have brought the fire back into the embers, which is now burning brighter than before. Gira witnessed this entire roller coaster ride of more than 3 decades, from top to bottom, and again coming back to a resemblance of life with peace and joy. It's not easy to see a family member suffering the trauma 24/7 for nearly 3 decades. It's a psychological trauma of a different kind, which he has faced very bravely and with a lot of patience. The family and friends, they often remain a very strong, sustainable support system, and they provide the optimism. They enlighten the fire, not allow the embers to extinguish. And of course, I owe my survival to large number of doctors who work patiently with this complicated patient. A team of practitioners worked on me on various therapies over a period of time, including pranic healing and even spiritual babas. As Maya Angelou wisely said, you may not control all that is happening to you, but you can always decide not to get reduced by them. Self-esteem and positive belief in one's ability to cope with the stress and recover from a difficult time, you need to identify what your embers are. Self-esteem and positive belief in one's ability is very, very important, which I can possibly testify through my own personal example. You have to identify yours. Wait and wait and wait patiently for these embers to reignite. Because life is full of endless possibilities. Finally, most patients of PID, they lose their lives much before the PID is diagnosed. The fatalities occur in early 20s and 30s. I may say this with utter gratitude and enjoying an amazing streak of luck. Every single day that I survive extra, I give hopes to millions across the world. Thank you for your time and attention. Thank you.